So when you create a calculated field, right, on the right hand side, you see there are a list of functions available. So these are the different types of functions that we have in Tableau. And what Tableau has done is it has categorized them into different types like number, string, date, type conversion, logical, user, table calculations, all these things. So the one that I will cover and the most important one is date function, because there are other number functions, absolute, integer, min, max. I mean, we have already used some of these functions, but let me start with the date function. While covering date function, there would be other functions also can be covered. So these are the different date functions that we have. The first one is date add, right? Date add. Let's say I have my order date here. Right, this is my order date. And let's say I have my sales amount. And I want to just say I want to add 1 month to these order dates, all the months, all the dates. I just want to add 1 month. So what can I do? So there is a function called date add. I mean the same function that you used in SQL, right? And also the syntax may be written in the same way. So basically it starts like this. Date add, what is your date part? Interval and date. So date part, I want to add a month. So here it is written with a, this is how it is written within quotes, but in SQL you may not write that. Interval is 1. Basically I want to add 1 month on the order date. Okay, that's how it is written. Simple. Let's say okay. Now it has created a calculated field, and you see it has the data type is date time. Basically, when I put it here on the Tableau, it will give me hour, minute, second also, but I don't need that. So let me change the data type. So here you can change it by selecting date, or you can again go to the calculated field and you can wrap it in a date function. Okay, like this. Now it will become a date. Now if I have to put it, now you will see all the dates. For all the dates we have added 1 month. It was 4 January before, now it has become 4 February. So 7 January, now it has become 7 February. So this, we have added a date. Similarly, you can subtract also, right? I mean, say data function, you can like you can add or you can subtract both, but the way you write is a little bit different. Let's say the same function, I will just duplicate date add and I will subtract. So let's say I want to remove 1 month from my order date. So I will just come here and put a minus in the interval. So it will deduct 1 month. Okay, 1 month. Now this is, if I put it here, now this is what you will get. Now it was 3rd January, now it is become 3rd December. Similarly, there are different types of intervals that you can do. So here what I used is month. Similarly, you can use day, you can use week, you can use quarter, you can use weekday, all those things you can use. Let's say I'll put a week. Okay, so basically I want to add 1 week to my date. Let's say okay, now you see 3rd January, now all has become 10. I mean, this has become 10 January, this has become 11 January, like that. So depends on the requirement how you want to use it. Just know that there is something called a date add available. Now let's say okay, now I'll go to the calculated field one more time. And I'll go to the function called date. Now date diff we have already covered. If you remember, when we wanted to identify the difference between order date and ship date, we use this date diff function. But let me show this again. Let's say I have an order date again, and I have the ship date. I want to find the difference between these two in days. Calculated field, and I'll call it date diff. It is also written date diff. Again, the same way, date part. Let's say I want in days, so I'll put day, and my start date is my order date, my end date is my ship date. Okay, now let's say okay. Now if I drag and drop, it will give me the days. But there is one problem you may notice. You see, this is 6th January and this is 10th January, but here it is showing 28. I have covered this scenario, right? Why it is happening?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, I have covered, I remember, but let me tell you this. Okay, why it is happening 28? We need to look at the backend. Okay, so basically you see 6th January and this is 10th January. Ideally it should be 4, right? Should be 4, but why it is happening? Because Tableau, when you drag and drop something, it by default aggregates. So let me go to the underlying data. Why it is giving me 28? Let me say this. First, it gives little bit of summary, then it gives orders. Now you see what is happening. There are 7 rows, right? So for each row, the difference will be 4. So 4 into 7. That's what it is happening. You see date div. And here when I dragged and dropped that field, it became sum of date div. So it is adding all of it to give me 28. So in this case, what you can do here is you can come to this calculation, measure, go to this, and here you can use an average function that is also work, or there is something called attribute. Let me show. Okay, anyways, you can use average, but let me show you this attribute, how it will work. Let me click on attribute. You see it became 4. So what happens when you change it to attribute? Let me go back. Okay, let me see this, show you that again. So this example 4, all right? Let's say I'll go to the underlying data again, orders. Now this attribute will only work when the values for all the rows are same. Then only it will result one value. Let's say if these 3 are 4 and these 4 are something, let's say 10. In that case, it will return an asterisk. Okay, it will return an asterisk. So always remember, attribute will return the value only if same value is repeated across the rows. In that partition, let's say in this like order to ship date, I am calculating the difference, and all the rows are same, all the values are same for date diff. I got 4. If it would have been different, then it would have returned a asterisk. Okay, so that is a call out. You need to remember why you might think, okay, why this attribute is not working? Because your underlying values may not be same. Okay, so this is a date diff function. Okay, I'll go to calculated field again. Date name, again, it will give you the name, like if it is month, then what is the month name? Because we are saying here date name, right? So it is based on that, it's giving me whether April. Similarly, it can give us the weekday also. If this example is clear, so let me use another example. Date name, let's say date name, and I want to say, let's say weekday. Let's see what happens. And on order date. So it gives me like what day it is. Like 6th January was a Saturday. 7th January was Sunday, something like that. This is a weekday function. So on month it can give, on weekdays it can give. What else? Only few things it can give, not for everything. Let's say if you use it on something that is not possible, where you can't get this string values, let's say date name. If I edit this and let's say I'll say quarter and say okay, now I'll bring it in. You see, nothing will happen because quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, there is no name to it. It is just a value, right? That's why it's give me 1 to 4. So it depends like where you use, how you use. Okay, now there is an important function called date parse. When you work in real time, it is not necessary that you will always get everything in the right format. Let's say your date fields, mostly they will come in string. If I mean, depends like what kind of data set or database you are working with. When I was working with Hive databases, mostly these values will come in string. So you need to convert that to a date format always, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to use in Tableau. I mean, you can use it, but all the date time intelligence functions will not work. So you have to convert them into a date format. So how this date pass will work? Let's say I'll put date pass. For example, I will take a date. Okay, something like, let's say my date is, let's say I'll create a field called date, and let's say the value is something like, let's say, what is today's date? 30, let's say April, and 30 April. Let me put a dot here, and I'll say 2022. 2022. Okay, and let's say hour, minute, second, right? There's 08 20 15. Let's say this is my okay, this is the date. Okay, here is a hyphen, here is a dot, then I have my hour, minute, seconds. Now let's say we will create this. Now what is happening when I drag and drop this field to date? It is only one value it is giving me. Otherwise, if something is a date, when you drag and drop, it looks different, right? When you drag and drop, if I just drag and drop order date, you give me year, then you can expand it to quarter, month, all those things. But here it didn't happen because Tableau doesn't understand it to be a date. And if you look at the data type also, you will come to know. You see, it is a string. Okay, even if you change it here to date, it will not work. You see, it is becoming null because Tableau is not able to identify what was written there. So I will use a date parse function in this case. Date parse, and call it date parse. So my string is basically date, right? That's the date. Let me copy that instead. Okay, let me open that and copy it so that we will see how it is written. Control C, I just copied it, and now I will create it. I could have used that field directly, but I just wanted to show you. Date parse. Okay, now I'll paste that format. Now what I will do here is, so here it expects date parse function expects the format also. So it basically telling us that pass the format that the data has. Okay. Now what I will do here is, let's say the same way, whatever your strings format is, I have to pass. Let's say dd dot yy space hour, minute, and second. Okay, now earlier it was like this. Now let's say okay. Now you see something has come already. Now let me try to put this. You see, I'm getting exactly the correct date format. How do I know? Because the date, time, all these things are coming. You see 2022, expand it, go to quarter, expand it, go to month, expand it, go to day, right? So all my date time functions are available. Hour, minute, second, it can go to up to that level. And if put exact date and make it discrete, you see, I'm getting the date. So when you use date pass function, always try to pass the exact format that your data has. Then only it will work. Any question on this?
So it is not case sensitive, no? Like here you mentioned small dd, capital M.
Okay, that is a good question. That is a good question. There is a reason why it is written in caps. Okay. If I just change it to small m, let's say small m, all small. Okay. Now, if I say apply, you see what will happen. It is failing. It is not working. Right. So it is written with a purpose. Okay. It is not written like that. The reason is the first part is date, month, and year. Right. The second part is hour, minute, and second. So in hour, minute, and second also we have mm. Now here also we have mm. So if I write both in small, right, Tableau will get confused what I am trying to refer to. So when for the date month here, the month is always written in capital letters. Then only it will work.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I'll move to the next question. Okay. Now there is something called date part. So this date part is basically it extracts the integer from a date. I mean, whatever date part you want to see, it will extract that integer. Now let's say for a simple example, date part. I'll call it a date part. It's very simple formula, month, and on the order date. I want to extract the month from the order date. Let's say okay. Now if I just put it, let me go back to the original screen, the previous screen, and let's say I'll put date part here. Now when you drag and drop like this, when something is a measure, right? When you drag and drop, automatically it tries to give you the bars, right? So what to change that, what you can do here is you can just do a right click and you should be able to get a discrete. Okay, it's a measure, it is not coming up. That's fine. Or if you don't want to disturb, what we normally do is we'll put it into the detail first. Okay, then come here and make it discrete, and then come it. Okay, let's see. Now, if you put it here, now directly it will come like this. It will not give you that bar and chart, all those things. Otherwise, there are a couple of steps you need to do, right? If you put it here, automatically it gives you these bars. Then go to the drop down, make it discrete, and then it will work. Normally, when you put something into rows and columns, right? The reason I'm showing this, when you put directly something into rows and column, but you want in a different format, always put into details here and do it, because when you put in rows and columns, it's try to recompute the visualization. So it will take a little more time when you are working with millions of data. So that's something you should keep in mind. Okay, now date part, right? So now by default it is doing a sum again. Now you see this is January, right? It is giving 3. That there should be a reason. If I go behind this, there would be 3 rows definitely. You see there are 3 rows. So date part is 1 1 1. All of it is combining and making it 3. So that is what is happening. So you can again change this. There is attribute, and if you do this, you will get it. All right. So date part always extracts the integer of your value, right? Integer part of it. Now what I can do here is, if I don't want to go through all these things, I will just convert that to a dimension. And now if I just drag and drop, you see directly it is giving me 1 2 3 4, because I don't want to sum it, right? I mean, it will not work, so I didn't want to sum it, so I can do it like this, date part. And I said month, so it is giving me the month. If I would have changed it to something else, let's say edit, and I'll say let's say quarter, apply. Now you will see what is the quarter of it. So there will be 4 1 2 3 4, maximum would be 4, right? Edit, let's say I'll say weekday, or let's say week. Now it will be 1 to 52, maximum will be 52. You see 1 to 52, all this. So this is how the date part works. But if you want to see again what formula you have written, you can always come to this edit and you say this. Also, when you do something like, right, let's say this is quarter we put, right? Let's say I'll again drag and drop order date somewhere here, and if I go to this, and if I choose this quarter, right, it also gives me the same thing. The same date part function would have been written behind the scenes. Let me, if I just double click on this, you see there is a formula, and this is how it is in date part, quarter, and order date, right? So in the background also, when you change something on the drop down, right, it writes function, and this upper part is always date part. And if I do the same thing at the bottom, then it will be a different thing. Let me show you that. If I again drag and drop order date, and this time I'll go here and I'll choose this quarter, right? It will be different thing. Now it has become a continuous measure. Now let's see what is the function behind it. You see that computing layout, that thing I was talking about. Now if I just double click on it, now you see it is a different function, date trunk. Okay, it is a date trunk function. What it is date trunk? What is the difference between date part and date trunk? Interview, they might ask you. You see, this is the date trunk. Okay, similar to date part. In date part, you will just change this to date part. Rest all the things will remain same. So what date trunk does? Let's see in a different example. Let's say I'll drag and drop order date again. And I'll use the date trunk. I'll write date trunk. And I'll write date trunk. And let's say I want to show the month. I want to truncate at a month level. Order date. Let's say okay. Now let me change this to a date again. And let me drag and drop. Now the moment you drag and drop date trunk, and I have the date part I have chosen as month. So what happens? It brings the first date of each month. Now whatever the date may be, it gives you the first date. Now do you see what? Now you are in May. This is May, so it's the first May. You go to June, it gives you first June. You go to August, it gives you first August. So this is the date trunk function. Very useful function. Mostly you will use it because you might get data every day at hour, minute, second granularity. Let's say you need to create a monthly. Let's say you want to give a monthly or weekly, anything like that, right? How do you do it? So we'll use this date trunk function. Let me give you a practical example. Let me. So I have used this date trunk function on this. Okay. Let's say I'll use the date trunk function. Okay. Let me see that function. Edit. Okay. So here it is date trunk month. So should give me the first date of each month. Let me put a filter here so that we can work with less data. Order date, and I'll put year of this. And let's say I will just want to show it for 2021. And I'll make it exact date. When I make it exact date, what do I expect to see? What do you think? What should show up?
First month of 2021.
First month of 2021. Any other answers? Any other answers, guys? The moment I do it, you see, it is given the first date for each month. Okay, clear? Date trunk at a month level. So we have like 12 months in a year, right? So it gives me the first date of each month. Now let me put a sales here. It gives me a line chart. Now you want to change this. Okay, depends on whatever. Let's say the user says, give me the functionality, whether I want to see it by month or week or quarter. Okay, the user says that quarter, year, or month, that should be my granularity. What I want to do in this case, it's a real-time scenario. Definitely user will ask. In this case, you will go here and create a parameter, and you will say, like, let's say I'll call it date granularity, or let's say choose granularity. Choose granularity, and let's say I'll go here with let's say list value, and I'll make it a string. And let's say the first is, let's say, week, and I'll display as capital W. Then next is, let's say, month, displays month. Then let's say quarter, I'll display as a quarter, capital Q. Okay, so these are my values. Let me do a show parameter, and let me do a single value list. So when I change it to week, this granularity should change to week. When I change to month, it should be month. When I change quarter, it should be quarter. Right now, it's not happening because parameters themselves, they don't do anything. We have to use them in a calculated field. So what is my calculated field here? My date run. I'll go to edit. So here in this case, so I've hard coded it to month, and here I will use that parameter that I have created. Choose granularity. Now, what is the current value? Is the week. Now let's say what happens when I say okay. Now it's a monthly level. The moment I click on apply, now you see it has converted that into weekly level. 23rd. Next will be 30th. Next will be 6th. Next will be 13th. You see now it is changed to week. Now let's see we change it to month. Now it is to month. Now let me make it a bar chart so that you can see it properly. Now this is a week monthly level. Now this is a weekly level. This is a quarterly level. You see, that's how it works. This date run function, very useful function. It can help you a lot of flexibility with when you're working with the real-time data. So date run, you can similarly. So here, I mean, first time I hard coded to month, but right now, if you look at this, it is week. Now change it to month. Now it is changing to month, right? So this part is getting changed by the use of a parameter. We are capturing that and we are using it, and then the date trunk is working and looks at what is the date part, and based on that it is giving me the results. Any questions on this? I hope it is clear. Hello.
Yes, sir, it's
Yes,
clear.
sir.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me move on. Day, I am not going to show that because whatever the date is, based on that it will give you the integer. Let's say today is 30, and if you used day function on today's date, it will give you 30. Is date. So what it checks is, it checks whether a particular value is a date or not. Okay, now let's say we have two examples. We have created a date thing, right, which was a string. Let's say we'll use that is a date on that date. Okay, and we'll see whether it is correct or not. Now the calculation is valid because is date expects a string. You see a string. Let's say okay. Now it's a false because Tableau thinks that this format, whatever we have written, is not a valid format. So it said false. If it would have been a date format, proper date format, it would say true. Let's say if I just go here and if I just edit this little bit, or let me comment this out, and I will use one more, and I will call it, let's say simply, let's say I'll say today's date 30/04/2022, something like this. Now if I say apply, it will become true. You see, it become true. So this is a proper date format. So this is date, what it does is it looks at whether a particular value is a proper date format or not. Although it expects a string, but it will still read the format. If it is true, if it is a proper date format, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. So this could be useful. But if you want to write some case when statement, if something is not a date format, then you want to do something. So in that case, you can use, you will check whether it's a date. If date, then do something. If it is not a date, then leave it or do something else like that.
So the Tableau will take DDMM YY format only, or any other format?
Any date format it will take.
Oh.
Any date, MMDD, YY, YY, MMDD, anything. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay. But it has to be a date format. That's it. All right. Where I was is date. Okay. Similarly, this is quarter, ISO quarter, ISO week, ISO weekday. They are like, normally we do not follow these ISO calendars at work. They follow a different calendar time. So that's it. Max, min, I don't need to show it. Month, you know it. Now, basically, it is the equivalent of get date in SQL. So you can use now to get the exact the date time information. Quarter, I don't need to show it. You know it. Today, again, today is today, date. So the difference between now and today is now gives you the timestamp also, but today only gives the date. Week, you know it. Year, you know it. Okay. Now these are some of the important functions that you normally use. Now let me go to one more important function. I'll come to this like logical, because these are already the things that you may have written several times in while doing Excel or SQL, right? So I'll show you, but let us complete some important functions. Aggregate now. Let me go to the table calculations. Okay. Again, very important. What is the table calculation? Table calculation, as we have already seen, right? The when you do something like percent of total, like table across, table down, pen across, all those things, if you remember, right? Those were the table calculations. So now the first calculation in the table calculation is called first. First, what it does? I just write first. Okay, I just write first. Let's say okay, and let's say we'll go ahead with a simple example. Let's say I'll put all my state, all my states into rows, and let's say I'll drag and drop that first what I just wrote. So I'll just write it. You see what is happening. So what it does is first row is always 0 in first function. First row is always 0, and all the other columns it will just show me how far they are from the current row. This is my current row, and how far they are from the current row. Now let's say there is something one more called last. Okay, and I let's say okay, and see what is happening when I put it. You see, the last row is always 0, and then it shows like how far they are from the last row. So first and last kindly work in reverse. Okay, but how we can make use of it, right? How we can make use of it? Let's say we want to find out top 5 and bottom 5 sets. Remember that sets class when we did, we created to identify the top 5 and bottom 5 based on sales. Let's say I will put sales here now. I'm putting sales here. Okay, this is my sales. Let me sort it highest to lowest. Even though I sort it, nothing will happen to these. You see, now I'll change it. I'll sort it lowest to highest now. You see, nothing is happening to these. You see that? Nothing happens to first and last because they are the table calculations, and table calculations, they happen at the end. After all the things take place, table calculations happen. Let's say I'll go to that order of operation one more time. You see, table calculations where they are happening almost to the end, right? Table calculations are happening here. Sets happen here before the dimension filter. So to identify this top 5 and bottom 5, right? If you create a set, then some of your dimension filters may not work as appropriate. So you may have to move them to context to make it work. To avoid that, you can use the table calculation. Okay, and table calculation, let's say if somebody asks you to find out the top 5 and bottom 5, you can always create a first and last. Then you need to write a calculated field, right? And you can say, who can tell me the logic now to find out top 5 and bottom 5 states by using this first and last? Guys, go ahead. What should be my condition so that I'll get these first 5 rows and the last 5 rows? What should be my condition? What should I write? Anything comes to your mind? Now let me give you one more example. Let me create a calculated field called index. And I'll just call it index. What index does? In Excel, what index does? Hello guys, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Sorry? What index does in Excel, guys? It gives you the position, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now let me put it here. You see what is happening when you put index, right? It gives the position, like it goes like that, 1 till 49. Now you tell me, if I have to use a calculation that will give me this top 5 and bottom 5, you use that index now. Using that, tell me. Can I write index is less than -5 and index is greater than, I'm saying greater than because it is here, greater than 5.
5.
Right? Something like this, right? To get, so I'll just need to replace this with my first and last. First and no, let it be Control Z. So I can write write index, but I can still write. So you can use that index, but let's say I will use directly this first because I have, there is a reason I created, right? First is less than or equal to -5 and last is greater than 5. Let's say if I say apply, what will give me? It will give me a true false, right? Now let me put it in the rows. Let's see. Maybe I wrote in a different way. But it's already working. You see, first is not less than. I said it should have been greater than, and here it should be less than. You see, first is greater than -5. You see, what is my -5? It should be greater than. So if it's greater than any value that is greater than -5, -4 is greater than -5, right? Now let's say okay. Now you see, now it will. What is happening? Maybe I'm doing some silly mistakes. First is greater than no truths at all. First, okay, this is first, and I'm saying greater than -5. What is the problem? Zero, minus, 1, 2, 3, 4. You got it right. What was the problem? Got it right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now you can use this into the filter and select only truths. You'll get the
Okay.
top 5 and bottom 5. All right. So this is how you can use first and last. Now there is one more thing called size. Okay. Let me duplicate this. Let me remove this. Now there is something called a table calculation function called a size. What it does? So basically return the number of rows in the partition. Let's say I'll put size into here. Now it will give me 49. You see 49 because it looks at the number of rows in each partition. So here it is working on the entire thing. But since it is a table calculation, we can change the partition. Let's say now I'll bring it to region. and I want to see how many states are there for each region. I'll use this size function. Let's say I'll put region. Now it is still showing 49, but what I'm expecting is I'm expecting only these many rows, right? It should give me 13 or what? 13, right? They are 13. I am expecting 13, right? But how it is, what we can do, I have put region. So I want to count the number of states for each region. It is showing 49. What can I do? It's a table calculation. Okay. So if it's a table calculation, I can change the partition. So right now the partition is the entire table. How do I know? If you go to a compute using, you see table down. If I change it to pane down, it will give me 13 now. So if something is table calculation, you can change the granularity, where it, what is the scope, right? Earlier the scope was table down. Now I have changed it to pane down. The scope is I've changed it to pane. So if you just also edit this table calculation, you will see that. Let's see if I do a specific dimension. If I select both, now it will work at entire region and state level. So it is giving me 49. Now let's say if I want to only work at a state, only at a region level. So what I will do here is I will deselect region from here. You see how the yellow colors are highlighting. So it is telling me that the calculation, this table calculation is working at a region level. So in table calculation, this works little counterintuitively. The one at the level you want the data, you will deselect, and then only it works. If I select it, it is everything. If I deselect it, it is happening at a region level. Just know this so that you will not get confused while doing it. Okay, now this size works like this. All right. Okay. First index we did last. Yeah, Soumya Ranjan, what is the question?
Sir, if I will select only region, it will show 1.
Your voice is very low.
If I will select the region instead of state, it will show 1 or what?
Let's see what happens. I'll go to size again. Okay. Edit table calculation. So let's say the question is if I select only region, you see, only one, because now the partition has changed, right? Now it is happening at a, it is calculating one. So basically one. So now I have selected region and removed state. Now you look at how it is happening. The calculation is happening for the state level. The one that you deselect, the calculation, the table calculation works at that level. So Texas is one value. So it is giving me one value, something like that. There might be some tools. No. Yeah, that's how it is working.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay. Lookup. Okay, what this lookup is basically, let's say I will have something like this, a region, and not, let's say I'll put a year and quarter. Okay, or I have order date, and let me go to quarter level, and let me put in sales, something like this. Let's say I want to compare previous quarter sales versus this quarter sales. So I will use this lookup function. Lookup, and this is how it is written. Lookup your expression basically. This is a table calculation, right? So these table calculations always expect the aggregations. Lookup sum of sales, and what I want is I want the previous quarter, right? So I'll put a -1. Okay, so it will look up. It will look up wherever you are. It will look up to the previous row. If you put a 0, it will look at the same row. If you put 1, it will look at the next row. Okay, that's how it works. Now let's say okay. Now let me bring it here. You see, it is looking up, and for this there is no value, so it returned a null. For others, it is just looking up the previous value. But now if you see what is happening when it comes to Q1, it is looking up at the value of Q4. Let's say I don't want that, right? So again, it's a table calculation. By looking at it, there's a triangle, I can know. So I can go to compute using, I can change it to pen down. You see, Now it is looking up like this. Now, what if I want to compare my Q1 versus Q1, 2019 Q1 versus 2018 Q1, similar 2020 Q1 versus 2019 Q1, 2021 Q1 versus 2020 Q1. How do I do it? Let me go to this edit table calculation, and here again specific dimension, and let's say now you see what is happened, because I want to compare Q1 versus Q1, right? So I deselected quarter from my edit table calculation. Now I can see the Q1s compared, Q2s compared, Q3s compared, right? All of it is getting compared, right? So this is how you can do. This is lookup function, guys. I mean, you may have to use, you would use basically sometimes. This is how it is written. If I change it to 1, it will just compare to the previous next. If it is 0, it will look at the same. Let's say if I change it to 0 and say apply, you see just looking at the same value, which doesn't make any sense. So apply. This is look up. I mean, you can rotate this also, still it will work. Just looks at the previous values. Think that way. Let me save it before anything goes wrong. Okay. All right. Now I'll go to some other functions. Let's say there is something called rank. Okay. How it works. Rank, how it works. We'll find out with an example. You see there is you know already, right? In SQL also we have this rank, dense rank, all those things, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the difference between rank and dense rank?
Dense rank will add to the previous number. Means like rank will skip the order.
The rank will skip the order. Very good. But dense rank will not. Okay. Let's say I have students and marks. Okay. And let's say student like A, B, C, D, E, something like that. And between, let's say, I will say 80 and 85. Something like that. And in this, I already see that numbers are repeated, right? Now let's say Control C. I'll take it to Tableau. Let's say Control V. Don't do this what I just did if it is a big data. Okay, your Tableau will hang. If it's a small data, that's fine. Okay, I have my students and I have my marks. Okay, I want to create a rank. What it expects, rank, what is the expression, and then whether it's ascending, descending, something like that. Now let's say I have something like student and their marks. So you can put a mark, let's say. You see, if I just simply use marks, it will not work. It will complain. You see, what is the complaint? All fields must be aggregate or constant when using the calculation function from multiple. Okay, let's say. So what I'll do is, so here it doesn't matter. So let's say I will put a sum of marks. Let's see what happens. Let's say okay. Now if I put this rank, something is happening, rank, right? So this is the first rank, right? And then it is going here and there. You see there are repetition of ranks also because it is skipping ranks. Okay, let me sort this. Although it is giving me the first rank for 85, that is fine. But when it comes to 84, there are 3 students, right? It skipped a rank. Let me format it a little bit. It skipped a rank, right? Similarly, there are 3 rows, 3 values. So it went to the next value, which is 6, right? Then 6, 6, then there are 2 values, 8. Like that it is happening. But let's say I'll use a dense rank. Rank dense, it's called rank dense. Sum of marks. That's it. I'm not referring any ascending, descending, all those things. I'm just putting rank. You see, it is not skipping ranks. So the same behavior that you had in SQL, it is also the same, which is appropriate to use. Now this is dense rank. Similarly, there is something called a rank unique, which is your row number, right? In SQL, you have row number. It doesn't care. So basically this rank unique, right? This rank unique, it will give you the ranks irrespective of repetition or not. Let me double click. Sum of marks. Okay, let's say okay. I should rename it rank unique. Put it here. It doesn't matter, right? It just gives you the serial number. Rank unique gives you serial number. Okay. So you need to know what you need to use if you suspect that there could be repetitions. Always safe to use the dense rank. All right. Let us go to the sample superstore. Calculated field, table calculation. Okay. Now there are some important functions: running max, running sum, running min. Okay, let's use some examples. I have order date, and let's see. Let me put the month, and let me put here sales. Okay, I have a month and sales. Let me make it a bar chart, something like this. It is coming up. Now I want to, if you want to do a running total, right? You can do that from this table calculation, which is the running total, right? It's a running total. If you look at the background, what is my calculation? It is basically this running sum of sales. Okay, that is the calculation. That is the calculation Tableau has written. This is a table calculation automatically Tableau has done. But let's say there are some functions which are might not be available directly. Let's say what I want to do here is, let me clear the table calculation. What I want to do here is I want to highlight the, let's say I want to highlight the maximum value. Which is my maximum value? November 2021. This is the value. Let's say I want to highlight this. Okay, what should I do? So there are some window functions available. Let's say max value. So what I'll do here is window max, and it will also expect a sum of sales and equal to sum of sales. So what we will do here is, if I put into color, you see it is highlighting that. Look at this function one more time. Window max sum of sales. Window max means this is my entire window. In the entire window, I am checking the sum of sales. So it is capturing that one value and it is checking for each of these months. Wherever it is true, wherever it is same, it is saying true, otherwise false. So this is a window max. Similarly, we can do the window, we can find out the minimum value also. If I do this and if I say min, the only change if I do here is window min. And if I say apply, okay. And if I apply this, you see this is the minimum value. Now let's say I want to highlight both max and minimum value. What can I do? What should I do? Come on, guys. Can I write something like this, or right? Both this calculation that I used and I put it into color. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. Also, you can use a line chart also to do that. In line chart, it is looking like this. So what in line chart also sometimes they will highlight you to those points, right? What I normally would do is I'll just duplicate this one more time. Okay, let's anything you just duplicate. So it will give you one more axis. Go to the second axis and I just change this to a circle. And then I use one of these colors, the field that I wrote onto this. Okay. Now I do a dual axis. And let me do a synchronized axis. Can you see this? So the color, right? Probably I can make it little better, edit color. And for the false, maybe I'll use little, you can use any color, let's say, okay, so that I will highlight only something like only that thing I will highlight. Okay, that's how you will highlight. Min and max value. Okay. Now let me go to the calculated field and see what else we have. Let's say there is something called a running max. Okay. Let me duplicate this sheet. And let me make it a bar chart. Okay, now let's say I want to find out the running max. Okay, I want to highlight the running max, right? So basically, when I say running max, what it means? This is my first value, because how Tableau reads from left to right, top to bottom. This is my first value, so this will be highlighted. Now I'll come to February. Now I see okay, February is lesser than January. I'll leave it. When I come to March, now March is higher than the previous highest value, so I'll highlight it. Similarly, I'll look at this, all these are less, I'll leave it. Now when I come to September, now September is higher than all the highest values, so I'll highlight that. So I can do that by using a running max function. Running max. What I'll do here is running max sum of, because I'm using the aggregation here, sum of sales, so I should use sum of sales here also. Sum of sales. Okay. Now it will give me true false. I'll put it here. Now you see it is highlighting. Now let me all the false. I'll just make it gray, and all the trues let me some other color so that it will be easy to the eyes. We make it even lighter. Okay. Now these are my running max. Okay. But right now you see it is happening for all the years put together. Let's say I want to do it for each year. I want to do it for each year, because you see for 2019 there is nothing highlighted, but I want to highlight for each year. What should I do? What I will do here is a very simple thing. I'll just drag and drop order date to columns, because by default it will give me year, but still you see it is not happening, right? Now who can tell me what can I do so that it will work for each year?
Pan wise, sir, table calculation.
Very nice. So it's a table calculation, right? So I can control how that happens. Compute using pen across. That's it. Right? Or you can, if you want to go to the edit table calculation, go to specific dimension, you can use this also. Okay, so this is how it works. Now I'll go to table calculation, running max. Similarly, there is running min, you can try. Window max we did. So most of the important functions we covered for this table calculations and the date calculations, but still there are so many other things. Let's say let's say let's say I have something like this. Okay. Order date, month, and I have my sales. Okay, something like this I have. Let's say what I want to do here is, let's say I want to highlight the all the Aprils, because let's say we are in April now, and I want to highlight all the Aprils. Let's say this is a, let me give you good homework here. Okay, so we have an order date, and this I don't know what version you are in right now. Which version you are using, guys, in Tableau?
It's 2021.4, I think.
2021.4. So it may not have 2022 data, right? It will have data until December 2021. So what I want you to do here is bring it to 2022. Okay. How? Add 1 year to each of these dates. Okay. So what will happen? This January 2018 will become January 2019. Let me do that one thing for you. I will just add a year and date add and I want to add year to the order date. Now what, something wrong I did. I missed the interval. So now there is add year where it went, and let me make it a date only, and I replace this with my current this thing, and I'll go to the continuous month. Okay. So now you see it become January 2019, and we have 2022 data as well. Okay, and today we are in April month, right? So you need to write me so tomorrow it will become what? Tomorrow it will become May, right? May 1st. So write me a calculation. You will only highlight the current month for all the years. So for 2022 May will be highlighted, 2021 May will be highlighted, 2020 May will be highlighted, and 2019 also May will be highlighted. Write a calculation, write a dynamic calculation that will highlight only the current month for all the years. Is the question clear, guys? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Question is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, write a dynamic calculation that will highlight only the current month for the year, Current month is, so today if you do this, it should be all the Aprils will be highlighted, but tomorrow automatically the May should be highlighted. Okay, that is homework. Second homework, same thing, but only give me let's say this is month, add year, right? So add year, put it to filter, and I'll keep only the latest year. Okay, this is only the latest year. And here what I want is, so let's say this is April, right? So what I want here is highlight only until April, rest all will be grayed out. Similarly, automatically when it becomes May, until May only all the bars will be highlighted, rest all will be grayed out. Something like a actual versus projected, right? Actual versus projected. So basically the months that have already passed will be actual months. Something that are yet to come will be projected months. So the color code has to happen versus actual and projected based on the month you are in. Okay, based on the month you are in. Or if I have to make it little more complex, it's okay. I'll put day. It's too much. Yeah. Let's do it a weekly level. Okay. At a weekly level. So whatever week we are in now, 30th April, 4 months. So maybe 16, 17 weeks already covered. So all those 16, 17 weeks will has to be colored, right? And that has to be dynamic. Rest all will be grayed out. Okay. Is this question clear also? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is one more question. Okay, now I'll give you another homework. Look at carefully what I'm trying to show you now. Okay. Okay, I'm opening a Tableau workbook. Use the same sample superstore. Okay, I have a map here. Okay, what I want is this color coding is happening based on the profit, sales, whatever it is. Okay, sum of profit. Based on that, I'm doing the color coding, simple color coding. Okay, then the next sheet, I have all the product names, their orders, their sales and profit. Okay, based on product name. Say orders, sales, profit. What is orders basically? I'll show you this calculation also. Basically, count distance of orders for each product name. How many orders have been placed for each product? Okay, this is that column. Then I'm having a sales column. Okay, then I'm having a profit column. Now you see one thing, only profit is colored, rest all are not. So that is one requirement. You will not color others, but you will only color the profit column. Now if I come to this dashboard and if I hover over, you see I can see that table sheet 2 basically, where I am showing only the top 10 products for each state. top 10 products for each state, and this is sorted as by sales. All are sorted by sales. This is the requirement, and whatever I am showing, it is called a viz in tooltip. It's very simple. I'll just show you if you do not know. Let's say this is one sheet. Okay, let me just create one more sheet, and here I will just add let's say subcategories, product. I'm just quickly showing you what it is. Okay, and I'll put sales, something like that, and I'll put profit into color, something like. I have a sheet here with subcategory sales. Now I'll go to this sheet, and I will do one thing. I'll go to tooltip, and what I will do here is there is something called insert sheets, and this is the sheet 9, right? The last sheet. Say okay. When I hover over it, it should give me the. It is not showing up because it didn't find any corresponding. Oh, it is sheet 16. Sorry. I used the wrong sheet. So when you hover over it, for that date, what is my sales? Okay. So this is what has been done here also in this, but this is a calculation that you need to do. Whichever state I hover over, I need to see only the top 10 products based on sales. Okay. Along with that, you will give me order, sales, profit, and profit column will be colored, and rest all. My requirement is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you need to do that. So this is another homework. There are 3 homeworks, and I expect people to do it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, guys. Then okay. So tomorrow, now I need to drop. Tomorrow we will sit for some more time. At next class is when? Today?
No classes for today.
Oh, nice. So you have time to do these things, right?
Tomorrow at what time our class would be?
Let's do it 8:30 tomorrow.
The
At
thing
what
is
time
that
you have?
from 9:30 to 12 we have a class, and then 2 to 6 we have a class.
9:30 to
12.
which class is that?
It's ML by Python.
Who is taking a Chinar?
No,
Venkat is there.
Venkat is ready.
Oh, Venkat. Okay. Okay. Let me check if that class can be moved to 10:30. Okay. Let me see that. So that we'll meet again at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Okay.
And sir, we still have some 2-3 classes of that.
Yes.
And sir, if possible, can you share the PPT also? I've asked what.
Okay. Let me share. Let me see what I can share from that, because it has some other things also.
Definitely. That LOD part and something like that. No? This is good. They are good.
Yeah.
Some topics over there. That's why.
Okay. No problem.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.